What's going on YouTube? This is UltimateiDeviceVids and this is Tweak Recap. And if you're not familiar with this series, it's basically every week I run up 5 of the best Cydia tweaks that were previously released. Let's begin. And the first tweak I'm going to show you guys is called Asphalia. It's available in Cydia for $1.99. And what this tweak does is it allows you to individually lock specific apps on your device. So for example, I currently have the Notes app locked with a passcode. I'll show you, as you can see, there we go. It wants a passcode and it's just 1234 for the demonstration. And again, it's not every app. You can choose specific apps, and Apple never allowed you to do that. They only allowed you to put a passcode on your overall device, not specific apps. And once you have installed the tweak, go into settings on your device and scroll down until you do see Asphalia and go in there. And the first time you go in here, it's going to want you to make a password, and you have to do that. Now for me, it's just asking me to authenticate because I already have set up a passcode, but again, the first time you open it, it's going to want you to make a new one. And just put it in. Mine's 1234 for the demonstration. And once you are in the settings panel, you could go to secured apps and just check off any app on your device that you want to secure. And the next option is passcode options, and I do want to show you some of those. And just like the normal passcode in iOS, you could choose whether it's a simple or complex passcode using this toggle, and you could change the passcode at the top. And the option after that is the require authorization. And this basically just allows you to set a specific period of time after you open an app that's locked and you exit it that you won't need to put in the passcode. So again, you could choose any of these times here. And basically, after you open an app and then close it, you're not going to need to put in the passcode for however long you chose in here. And by default, it's just on immediately, so that basically just means it's disabled, so it's always going to require the passcode. And that is the most secure option. I'm going to go back, and the next option is just for advanced users, so I just skip over that. And the last option is the Asphalia control panel, and that's basically just allows you to toggle the tweak on and off quickly without even having to go into the settings. So again, that's what this option allows you to do. And you could go to activator action, and you could choose any of these activator actions to invoke this panel. And I currently have it set for the long hold of the home button. And I'm going to exit out of the settings app, and I'll show you guys how to do this. So you just perform the gesture, and it's going to ask you for your password in order to access the control panel. Again, it's just 1234. For me, and I'll click OK. And as you can see here, you have the option to disable your secured apps, so that'll just unlock the apps that you currently have locked, or you could enable global app security. And first I'm just going to show you the disable my secured apps, and then I'll hit close, and I'll open up Notes, and there you go, no password. And I'll reperform the gesture, and I'll put in my password to get into the control panel, click OK. And I'll just enable the secured apps. Now the next option is enable global app security. And this option basically just locks every single app if it is enabled. So I just enabled it, and as you can see, every app on my device requires the passcode. It doesn't matter what it is, just every single app requires the passcode. And it's just the same one as normal, it's just 1234. But again, it's every single app will require the passcode with the global security on. And to toggle it off, you just do the same thing, perform your gesture, put in your passcode, click OK. And I'll just disable it, and there we go. We'll hit close, and it's just back to normal. And again, the only app that I have locked is Notes, just like that. And I'm going to go back into the settings for Asphalia, and I'll put in my password, and I'll just go to the passcode options again, and Asphalia control panel. And the last option I want to show you is allow access to the control panel in apps. So by default, this is actually disabled, so you can't actually activate the activator gesture in order to get to the control panel when you're inside an app by default. But with this option enabled, again, you're going to be able to access the control panel from anywhere on your device, including inside apps. So I'll do it from here. I'm inside the settings app, and there you go. It lets me access the panel. But again, with this disabled, I'll also show you what happens. It's just not going to work. As you can see, it's just invoking Siri, which is the normal short hold of the home button gesture. And that's basically it for this tweak. There are just a few other options, which is the creators. So you could follow the creators on Twitter and just know who they are. And the last option is A3 tweak support. So if you need support with this tweak, you could email the developers. That's all for this tweak. Again, it's called Asphalia. It's available in Cydia for $1.99. And the next tweak I'm going to show you guys is called Badger 7. It's available in Cydia for $1.49. However, if you did own it back on iOS 6 or 5, it is a 99-cent upgrade. And what this tweak allows you to do is view badge notifications on your specific apps by swiping up, and then you can see all of the notifications. So as you can see, I just swiped up on the Messages app, and I have a text message, and the message content will be down the bottom, and the contact that it's from will be on the top. And if you slide over, you have some options. You could call the person, delete it, or just quickly reply to it through this little interface. You don't even have to open up the app. You could just quickly send a reply and hit send, just like that. And then the last option is to mark it as read. So if you hit the check button, it's just going to mark it as read, and there you go, the badge goes away. And of course, inside the app, there's the message, it's still there. You could still reply as your normal method, but that's just an additional option. And there are some settings you could configure in the settings app. If you go in there and scroll down until you do see Badger, and once you go in there, you could change the invoking method, which is basically how you get it to come up. And you can go in here, you could change it from swipe up to double tap. However, with the double tap option, it does cause your apps to lag a little bit before opening, because obviously the app has to know whether you're going to double tap it. So if you do change it to double tap, your apps will just take a little bit longer to open. So I don't recommend that, because obviously it has to wait to see if you're going to tap it twice, if that makes sense. So I would just recommend that you do leave the invoking method on swipe up. And by the way, after you change any of these settings, you have to respring your device or reboot. And there are some settings down here. You could change the blur amounts, and you could darken it as well. This is just the Badger interface, the animation as well, the duration, how long it takes. You could also enable pull to refresh. So if you want to refresh notifications on an app, I have that enabled. You could pull like this, and then it'll refresh the notifications. And if we go back in settings, there is the include notification count, so it'll count how many notifications you have. You'll be able to see that in the interface. In the thick line, that's just a graphical change. I'll just enable that and show you what it does. You can see there the line's just a little bit thicker, and then I'll disable it and I'll show you what that looks like. You can see it's a little bit slimmer down there. And we'll go back in the settings. And there's just a few more options I want to show you, which is the clear deleted notifications or respring. And of course respring, because some of these options require you to respring. As you saw with the thick line, it didn't require anything, or the pull to refresh actually doesn't. So I'll disable pull to refresh and show you that it doesn't need a respring. You can see there's no pull to refresh. However, the thing that does need a respring is the invoking method. And it says that right there. Changing the invoking method will require a respring. And again, you just have that button down here that you could click and it'll just respring your device. And the next tweak I'm going to show you guys is called ClassicLockScreen. It's available in Cydia for 99 cents. However, the price will go up to $1.99 in the future. The 99-cent price is just a launch price, so again, it's going to go up. So I recommend you get it now so you can get the discounted price. And what this tweak does, as it sounds, it will bring back the old iOS 6 lock screen to iOS 7. So as you can see here, I have the old iOS 6 lock screen with the slider that you have to slide on the designated area. You can't just slide anywhere. And of course the other graphical changes, such as the camera grabber and just some other things. And the camera grabber is fully functional. It works great. And also the double tap for music controls works well. As you can see, you could adjust the volume and skip music and that kind of thing. And it just works very well. Now there is only one complaint that I have. Sometimes when I'm sliding from the far left of the screen, it doesn't always get my swipe. You have to go right on the knob in order for it to recognize you. That's just one complaint. Hopefully the developer will fix that. And there are some settings if you go in the settings app and scroll down until you do see Classic Lock Screen. And you could go in here and you could have the lock screen camera, which is not for iPad. Again, that's the camera grabber. Again, you cannot get that on an iPad. So again, that's only for iPhone and iPod Touch, and if you want to, you could disable that. And all these changes do require a respring. There is a respring button right there. Now the other setting is the lock screen seconds. If you want seconds on the lock screen, I'll show you that. I'll enable it. And it says this setting does not need a respring. So I'll go to the lock screen and I'll show you. There you go. There's lock screen seconds, just like that. And again, that option doesn't need a respring. However, all these options up here do. And again, this tweak is called Classic Lock Screen. It's available in Cydia for 99 cents, but get it now before the price does go up to $1.99. And the next tweak I'm going to show you guys is called ProWidgets. It's available in Cydia for $2.99. And this tweak allows you to have widgets on your device that you could easily activate, easily minimize, and move around. And I currently have the alarm clock widget set to when I triple click the home button. So I'll triple click the home button. And as you can see, this alarm widget pops up, and it works very well. You could choose the time you want your alarm to be, all that stuff, and you could choose all the settings that you normally have inside the alarm clock app, and it just all works very well. And you could hit save when you're done, and it saves just like that. I'll go in the clock app and show you. As you can see under the alarm, it has set. And that's just one of the widgets you could have. There's tons and tons of widgets, which you could get in the settings app. And just scroll down until you do see ProWidgets, and go in there. And if you go under widgets, this is all the widgets you have currently on your device, and you can download third-party ones from Cydia if you do want to. but this is the ones that it comes pre-installed with, and you could install a widget via URL actually if you want to do that. However, the ones that it has just works very well. And I'll go back, and you could go to themes. You could customize the way that it looks. There's the blur, the dark blur, the plain, and the plain blur. I'll show you the dark blur actually. I'll activate my widget, and as you can see there, it's a lot darker than it was before. And now I'm going to show you the next one, which is just plain. And I'll go back into that themes section. I'll choose plain, and I'll show you that. There you go. It's very white. There's no black space. And I'll go back in the settings, go back to the theme section, and I'll show you the last one, which is plain blur. I'll show you the last one. Here we go. And there you go. As you can see, it's just a little bit different. And I'll go back in the settings, back to, we'll go back to ProWidgets, and we'll go to themes. And you could also install a theme via URL if you want to do that. But again, the ones that it has to choose from work very well. And I'll go back to the next setting, which is the activation methods. And if you go in here, you could configure how you want each widget to pop up and where you want it to. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I would recommend you just go into Activator. This is the way that I recommend. So just go into the Activator app on your device, go to anywhere, and just choose any of the actions that it has. I'm going to do triple press home. And as you saw beforehand, I have that set to the alarm clock. I'll just exit that, and I'll scroll down, and I'm going to show you guys how to set this up. So you'll eventually find under ProWidgets all the widgets that it has to offer. I'm going to change it to messages right now to show you that one. And I'll triple click the home button, and there you go. You could go in here and type a contact name or a recipient, and then you could send the message off just like that. And I'll go back into the settings app, and we'll go to the next setting, which is the configuration. And in here, there's just some basic settings for the tweet. And the first option is the lock action. That's basically what happens to your widgets when you lock your device. And just so you know, when you have a widget open and you want to minimize it, you could just double tap on the top, and it'll go into the smaller view. You could throw it around your screen from side to side, and just it'll go anywhere you want. And to get it back, you just tap, and it's going to open right back up. And from the minimal view, if you want to dismiss it, you just triple tap and it goes away. And also when you're in a widget and you just want to dismiss it, you can just tap the home button and then it'll go away. But anyways, this first option, which is the lock action under the configuration, this first lock action option, it is by default on minimize all widgets. So if I have something open, and then I lock my device, and then I'll wake it back up, as you can see, it's just minimizes it automatically. Now, the other option is dismiss all widgets. So if I have a widget open just like this, and then I lock my device, it's just going to completely dismiss it. And as you can see, it's completely gone when I wake up my device. And I'll go back to the configuration, and the next option is the minimization view size. So that's basically when one of your widgets is minimalized like this, you could customize the size of it. And I'll go in here. It's currently on the default, which is just normal. And I'm going to go to the small, and then I'll open it back up and minimize it just so it refreshes. And as you can see, it's even smaller. And I already showed you normal. I'll show you big now. So I'll open it back up, and I'm just going to close it. And there you go. As you can see, it's just a little bit bigger. And there's large, and I'll open it back up and close it. As you can see, it's just a little bit bigger. And again, I personally prefer normal. I think it's just the best one. And of course, it is the default one. And we'll go back. And the next option is the parallax effect. And that's basically when you have a widget open. If I enable it, and I'll open up the widget. When I tip my device from left to right, you could actually see the widget moving from left to right. And that's the same effect that's on the home screen of iOS by default on iOS 7. The wallpaper moves behind the icons. And if you want that to have an effect with this tweak, you could keep the parallax effect option on. However, I would recommend you keep it off to save battery. It's just better and more efficient that way. And there's the disable blur effect. And that's basically, if I have this off, I'll show you what it does. So I'll go to my home screen and I'll activate the widget. As you can see, you could actually see just a little bit each icon behind the green, like that, just like that. And if you don't want that there, you could disable the blur effect. And I'm going to go back into settings, configuration, and I'll disable the blur effect, and I'll show you what I mean now. And you actually can't see it all behind this green banner. It's just completely a solid color. So I'm just going to close this and go back into settings, and I'll go back into ProWidgets, configuration, and the next option, which is better blur quality. Of course, that's just an extension of the normal blur feature. So in order to use this, make sure disable blur effect is off, because again, The next option, which is better blur quality, is an extension of the blur feature. So with this on, it's just going to improve the blurriness of the widget, and as you can see, it's just a little bit better. You can actually see the icons just a little bit more clearer behind the blur. It just looks really good that way. And we'll go back into settings, and we'll go back into the configuration. And under global preference, the preferred source is basically just when you're creating a calendar alert where it's going to go to, whether you want it to go to your local calendar or iCloud. And if you don't use iCloud, just make sure it's on local. And that's pretty much it for this screen. That's the main set. And I'm just going to go back. And otherwise, you do have the website and documentation. So if you want to go to the website for this tweak, you could do that here. You could also figure out more from the developer or follow the developer on Twitter. And this tweak is, again, it's called ProWidgets. It's available in Cydia for $2.99. And the fifth and final tweak I'm going to show you guys is called Compose for iOS 7. Now, this tweak is available in Cydia for 99 cents. And what this tweak does is it allows you to quickly compose emails, messages, Twitter posts, Facebook posts directly from your control center. So, for example, as you can see at the bottom here, I have the message and mail right now. I could just click on message, and just like that, it brings up the message compose sheet, so I could send messages to anybody just like that. And the same thing with mail. Now, I currently don't have a mailbox set up, so it's not going to work, but you get the point. And you could set it up in settings on your device, and you scroll down until you do see compose, and you can go in here and you configure the left and right buttons. Again, for the left one, I currently have do message. You have all these to choose from, and again, the right one as well. And it works just like that. No respringing is required. It just works. And again, this tweak is called Compose for iOS 7. It's available in Cydia for 99 cents. And thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later.